the shadows of your spreadsheet. Something's not calculating. Jack, Elliott, and Dim, investigating the strange, explaining the unexplained. The XL Files. Trust no cell.
Hello, I'm Jack Kennedy, and this is the XL Files. Welcome to the XL Files, because the truth has no hash spill errors. We're here to talk about those Excel skills you won't see in your finance department, and we're too deep in the Excel World Championship, and yes, it's a thing, to remember what's easy and what's not. So we like to talk lambdas, algorithms, and secret tips and tricks. I'm joined, as usual, by international globetrotter Elliott Patterson.
One of these three, yeah. Hello.
And the Excel World Champion, Dim Early.
Hello.
Also with us today, actually in person with Elliott, as you can see, it's the it couple of XL esports, Don't Tell Jean and Vanessa, both playing in the arena in Las Vegas this year, made up of one prolific case author and one full-time spoon schemer, Nick and Ella Boberg. Welcome to the podcast, Bobergs.
Very good. Hello.
Okay, wait. Before we go any further, I have an important question.
Yeah.
So I know we found out, I don't know if you guys all watch Unpivot, but like after months, years of episodes, Win eventually revealed that every time he did the intro, he'd been putting the emphasis on a different word. And I just noticed that it wasn't the truth has no hash spill errors before. Have you been slipping in a different error every time you've done this?
Yeah, and a different department sometimes. I like to change the word again, but so slightly, and see if anyone notices. It only took you 7 episodes to notice that one, Dim. Although, to be fair, I've only been working off of like a structured format for about 4 episodes. So.
I'll take that. I think that means I did better than Giles and Mark and Sue.
Yeah.
You got that by listening to the enemy. You're listening to the opposing podcast.
All right. Now, we have 2 topics of discussion today instead of the usual one. We've got a Las Vegas recap and the question we've all been wondering, are we all just becoming coders now? We'll let Dim do his golden age before we start tucking into the Vegas recaps, because I think there's going to be some crossover there. But before we do that, we're going to let the Bobergs have their own Excel Files jingle a little early. And it's a little long running this time because there are 2 of you. So, let's hear the Bobergs song.
Stoked for the semi, stoked for the wife. Brought the Kiwi passion to my spreadsheeting life. Wrote every case as at home as you see. Now stoke the fires of victory.
Yeah. My fingers are flying from the last chance round. Just plotting your downfall while you're still spellbound. In the arena with a spoon in the game. Ella Boberg's etching out her name.
But when a Kiwi case got in her eye,
It's tough, she said with a smile.
so stoked for the Bobergs.
Rolling the spreadsheet.
So stoked for the Bobergs. Fire in their eyes. They'll take giant clipping on the private jets. The Bobergs, you ain't seen nothing yet. Stoked.
I'll drop that one to your inboxes later.
Great to be here. Thanks, Jack.
I hope you enjoyed that one. We'll maybe give it to you later in between your topics as well. Because I found that one quite catchy and I actually really enjoyed playing it. But I feel the need, obviously, to bring forward Dim's segment, as we mentioned. So, Dim, is it still the golden XO age? And do you have any exciting updates for us? I'm going to cue you in with a jingle.
Step right up and take the stage. It's time for Dim's Golden Age. Ain't it great? Esports athletes share their flair. Dim's Golden Age beyond compare.
There we go. I got the Bobo rendition there of that tune.
I love it. It's really just a good catchy one. Beyond compare.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. It has occurred to me multiple times over the year that, you know, dubbing it Dim's Golden Age was, you know, a little I don't know, a little like me-centered, but you know, now I'm on, so now this is it. This is my year, my golden age. It's all me.
Yeah. I wasn't in Vegas. Spoilers, please.
Jack already introduced me as the world champion and then put my picture holding the trophy in the intro. So I think the game has thoroughly been given away.
Wait. So what's that? You're saying you won the world championship?
No, that can't be
No.
right. That can't be right. That's that guy that chokes in the knockout rounds.
Oh my god! Do you know what that calls for, Dim?
Oh dear lord.
Walked off stage, finished early 3 times done. World champ early. Dum, 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 go.
We're all about the jingles
I've,
today.
I've I've used up all my new jingles in the space of a couple of seconds there.
Sorry.
But what you might find annoying is and Elliott Boberg, so you can also access this in the Discord. There's literally a sound in the Discord now that you can click on to get dim 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 dim. So Dim, is there anything specific other than you winning the world championship that has happened recently? I hear there's brand new news out that came just before we went live.
There is. I mean, I literally, I was ready to say there's really nothing in Dim's Golden Age except the Vegas update that we were going to do separately. But now, as of like 1 minute before we started recording, there is, which is that they've put out the format for next year's MEWC, including changes, new information, some things that have been hinted at before but not confirmed. So it's, you know, a lot like before. There's 9 rounds, and then there's a qualifier, and then there's, you know, quarterfinals, semifinals, final. But new things, 2 things. One, the knockout brackets are now going to be all against all instead of head to head, and double elimination. I'm not totally sure what that means, but I think it means you have to lose twice to go out.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much what we used to play. Poker. We used to play pool, double elimination in our competitions.
I mean, that seedings go out the door.
Yeah, I guess seedings don't mean anything. Oh man, that means I might have to do 9 novelty rounds this year. Google Sheets, Python.
I want to see a power carry around this year from you, Dim.
Is that all we have?
Yeah, I'm not making any promises.
The knockouts are out. We have any more information what that means? Is it groups?
No.
It could still be groups.
Did they
Or
specify
be all
if it's
within
double
a group.
elimination?
It could be all field within a group. I don't know. What's the actual wording we've got? We've not seen it.
No.
I'm just literally looking at the graphic that says group stage 256 players, double elimination, all versus all. So it looks like it starts off with 32 players. Then round 1 splits that into winners and losers. Oh, okay. I think I understand now.
And then winners go up
basically
against losers.
So there's like 8 32s with each of those 32s ending up with one person going straight to the final. So I think the seeding still counts at least for that. So it looks like it's all versus all in round 1. Half of those go into like the winners pool, and half of them go into the losers pool. And the losers pool play 1-on-1 matches to get back in. And then it looks like at each round, like you stay in the winners pool if you keep winning, and so the one person out of the 32 that goes straight to the finals is
The
just
person
the
who
one
doesn't
who
lose
wins
anything.
every time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then of the others, you have to come bottom half to get knocked out of the losers pool, and then you have to be beaten head to head by somebody to go out. I
Okay.
think. I don't know. I'm kind of
That really
squinting at a
simplifies it.
slightly grainy, zoomed-in version of the infographic to figure this out. I'm sure there will be more clarity coming in the fullness of time. But yeah.
What that made me think of is the CGP Grey rock paper scissors knockout championship. If anyone has been through that journey,
Probably not.
probably not. You know, CGP Grey, the like YouTuber, science explainer videos and stuff. He's got a rock paper scissors where you play it against him, and if you win, you go to the winners video. And he keeps going. He says, "Well, the chances of you winning are now 1 in 256 million." And as you go through, but then there's super secret things where if you lose, there are chances to get back in and back on track and stuff. And that's what it sounds like. It, as you say, really
simple, yeah.
Simple as anything.
Mhm.
How many cases do you reckon there will be to end up trying to get a winner out of all of that? Because if you've got a winning
I
half,
think
half of the losers get to be winners again, then I imagine you have to go through quite a few iterations to get somewhere.
no,
I'm
it
guessing
looks
5.
like it's going to be the same number of cases. So basically, you have to win 5 times to be, or sorry, no, you have to come top half 5 times in a row to get the one out of the 32 that goes straight to the final. And then it looks like for the others, it's, I don't know, I can't actually make out the exact numbers here, but I think it's basically if you make it through enough times, like from playing those same rounds, but possibly in head-to-head mode, then you end up making it through.
New format! Woo!
It does feel
But wait. There's more. The spicier part of the new format, I think, is that there's a totally new qualification path, which is, and they haven't said anything about it other than referencing it as a qualification path, but there's a European Open. And so the winner of the European Open will also now go straight to the final, and 2nd to 6th in the European Open will go straight to day 2, along with
Straight to the final, straight to the semis.
Yeah, straight to the last day. Yeah, not straight to the final.
Number 1, so Jean or Anders will go straight to
Well, it's the European
final.
Open. I don't think it's only for Europeans. I think it's happening in Europe, but anyone can compete.
Oh my god, I know someone who somewhere around that time of year might be talking at the Global Excel Summit.
There was a very spicy moment in the WhatsApp group where there was a picture of Jean and Sergio and Benny maybe all at the airport together traveling to Vegas, and someone said, "Oh, hey, look, it's the top 3 players in Europe," and then Jarman and I were both like, "Wait a minute."
You guys are just weird hybrids, and
we are weird hybrids, yes.
Have a foot in one of each, or actually you're just like in the black hole between the two, middle of the Atlantic.
I guess I'm mid-Atlantic, yeah.
We'll put you there.
Lorenzo managed to persuade Emils to give him like a crossed, half UK, half Italian flag on the live stream. So that's the new thing to go for.
I think Julia has that for the French/reunion flag combo. Yeah. With that, let's get a roundup of X-Summits in Vegas, especially for Elliott, who missed out this year. And I have a speed round of categories to cover. So I'm going to pose a question, 5 different categories, and Nick, Ella, Dim, myself, we can all give our opinions on that one. So first up, people. Who was there and who were you glad you connected with or got to know a bit better?
Oh,
too many
like
to count?
Everyone. It's like you're not going to ask me to choose my favorite child, are you?
Categorically state everyone was not there.
You're right.
I
I
don't
was
think
really
anyone
happy
who
to
I
see
don't think
Elliott
anyone
this
who
year.
counts was there. I'd like to see somebody prove me wrong.
It was crazy. I think the people this year, having gone last year and having like formed a bunch of friendships off the back of last year, still maintain them / grow and my I guess our friendship base with the community, if you
Yeah.
will, like and then turning up. I've said it a few times. There are hundreds of people there, but there were like already 50 friends, which grew over the course of our time there.
Mm.
And then within the 50 plus friends that were growing, there's like 30 plus like mates that are like you just close and gel with. And yeah, we would turn up from here on, I think, like for the people alone, let alone the conference, let alone the World Championship, and being able to just have a central point to be able to catch up with people from around the world. It's got to that point now where it's just so cool hanging out with these people. The people, it's the people, the community.
It's the people.
Totally
So
agree.
the people
Totally
that you
agree.
enjoyed seeing was the people.
Jack,
I
you
think
remember
I
that?
think that's the honest answer.
Yeah.
Don't go all pedantic on us. It's true.
There's just so many.
You couldn't name everyone.
Yeah.
The thing is, you can go into the arena now, or at least I'm speaking a bit for ourselves, I guess, but I feel like a lot of people could relate, and somewhat sit next to anyone and be like, oh, hey, how you going? And you can yarn and catch up with them for 20 minutes, half an hour, no worries.
Yeah.
And so it's just last year was awesome seeing everyone in person that you talked to online and knew about for so long. But it's got to a point now where I don't know, you break down a familiarity barrier of sorts, and you can just shoot the wind about anything. And it's great.
I think it's also like the WhatsApp community has grown so much, like especially since Vegas last year. I think a lot of people came
Yeah.
away from that like super energized and just started getting a lot more engaged in the off season. And so like this is the first year of like getting back together after a year of that, which is very different
Yeah.
from I think anyone before. Yeah.
No, totally agree. And then the little Utah after party and like that was just able to solidify bonds even further. So everyone comes
Yeah.
away from that. If you have a couple of drinks at night and stuff, and then I don't know.
Yep.
All right.
And then your relationship is completely undermined by a stabbing. But I don't want to get ahead of our recap.
Oh,
And, I
The-
thought for me, as far as people go, obviously, like it's third year for me. There's lots of people I've now seen a few times. So there's a handful of people it was amazing to see for the first time, but then at the same time, having Utah, there was a great chance to get to know some of the people even better. That I hadn't gotten a moment to speak with during the week at all. All right, I'm going to go into topic number 2 now. Documentary. I'm going to get this out of the way. Quick shout out to the team. We had Tom Culkin and Rich Owen, directors of this new documentary out there. They also had with them the team. We had Brian and Paul, the executive producers, Tommy Ops, we had Mark and Ferdinand doing cameras, we had Avantika and Carl doing audio, and then we had the absolute queens, Catherine and Mia. Dan is PA, but I mean, let's be honest, they ran everything. So my question to you guys, after showing that time, what was your experience with the team and with being documented this year?
It was surreal. It was, we knew going in that they wanted to talk to us one time at least. And then it just kind of exploded from there. But yeah, you get surprisingly used to being followed around and having like cameras pointing at you and a boom above your head. And eventually I had to start having.
And random people putting mics up your shirt as well.
Yeah, and just being just like in the middle of like whatever room you were at, just being like, yeah, like pulling your shirt up a bit, and everyone kind of like, why are you doing this, and what's happening here? And, it's like, it's fine, people. It's like I consent. It's fine. It was, the team were amazing, and I definitely shout out to the girls who definitely made it feel very comfortable. And I feel like they were like my personal support crew some of the time, so it was great. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really,
And
I really
I think I had a bit of a moment there one day, and if it wasn't for Catherine and Nick, I might have just been melting down for about half an hour, because Catherine was coming to pick up Nick for his interview. I was having a bit of a meltdown because I was trying to get something sorted out. And at that point in time, I was in between points of time where I could do anything about it. So it hit me. I started crying. I'm just sitting outside the conference, not able to go back in and listen to Dim talking. And then Catherine walked up, and then she was like, I can't do anything. I'm like, no, you can't do anything. It's like, it's going to happen. And she ran off, and I thought, okay, I've scared her away. And she came back with tissues in her hand, just as Nick had come out and started comforting me. And honestly, that was a really good moment to have that kind of connection with both of you. Not judging me, but just letting me be. So thank you for that, Nick and Catherine.
Not an issue. Yeah, the documentary was and the filming was a crazy experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some particularly initially, like I remember how awkward we were first time around. They wanted to film. I don't know why this is going to make great content. In fact, it probably won't. But filmed us like behind us with our roller bags going to our room. And then we're in our room, like, and we don't know what we're doing. We're like, hi, hi guys, I met you 5 minutes ago. You wanted to follow us to our lift, to our room, and now you're asking us funny questions, and we're like, how do we stand? What do we do? Do I
very
climb around
conscious
to?
of, like,
Yeah.
like,
You're
it feels
conscious of
really
it.
stilted.
Absolutely. And then at the end, it's just like, oh, like they were they were friends at the end, and it was just like, oh,
Having a
okay.
conversation.
I found some funny moments when you would be, I don't know, mic'd up or something in the arena, and then you're having yarns with people, and then you kind of forget about it, and then every now and then the camera comes in your face, and I learned afterwards they only care about the audio when you're on camera, so they won't actually like
Okay,
listen,
right.
which is really helpful.
I don't
'cause it
know
makes
when
them-
the camera was pointed at me, but there were a few moments that the mic probably shouldn't have been used,
Yeah.
based on conversations that I had in the arena.
Like, you know what? This is just if you want me mic'd up, I have to go sometime. Eloise had got rid of her mic to go to the
Yeah,
I didn't
every
realise you had to do
time.
that. Anyway,
I think everyone got rid of their mic.
He's just such a natural with a microphone. It's just part of him.
you'd be pleased to know I was on camera if I was in the loop. Apparently. But like you'd be there having to yarn to someone, and then like I don't know, they'll decide the sound's not great, and they'll come over and they're like, "Hey Nick, can we just make an adjustment?" And the people next to you are like in horror that
You
you're like, you know more about it.
I'm wearing a wire. Wire.
like,
At one point, I was standing with Leanna, and she made like a real strong burn on someone that was on the screen or something, and I was like, I have a mic here. and by the second day, I had by the second day, I had a secret band on my arm, which I would point to if I was mic'd up for certain people, so that they knew if I was mic'd up and didn't say crap.
yeah, I did this. Me and Ashley had this of being like, don't say anything inappropriate, be on your best behavior.
Yeah.
I just
Didn't
Were
Mia
you
catch
mic'd
one
up,
time?
Did she catch you?
Well, yeah, I think it was Mia said at some point, she's like, Ella, is this like a secret signal?
I had one moment where Rennet was talking to me, and he told me something, and I said, "Can I tell this person that's involved about this upcoming secret?" And he was like, "No, I think this needs to stay a secret." So I'm like, "Okay, cool. We have a secret. I'm not telling anyone." And about 5 minutes later, I realized I have a mic on me. So I went sprinting around the arena looking for Rennet. And there was another awkward moment while I was looking for Rennet where people started talking to me about gardening And then I kind of promptly carried on sprinting. I'm like, I'm mic'd. Kept walking around, found Reddit, and like, I was mic'd for that conversation we had, just so you know. Don't know if that's going to end up coming out. But I have no idea how much the cameras were actually on me at any point in time. I was just completely oblivious to them. Or other people were pointing them out to you.
Well, they'd be like, "What is this?" You'd be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
friendly.
look, Mia's following me around. Didn't even notice that bright big camera over there.
Oh, wait, you can see them too?
All right. Topic number 3. Let's keep moving. The active cell. What was your experience of that? What were your best bits?
Yeah. Ellen and I have had good chats about this, and including with Elliott last night, hence Elliott's fun little interlude. The active sale in totality was a bit more of a letdown, I reckon, for us this year as compared to last year. I think there's a little identity crisis around what it's aimed at. You've got a situation where you've got people in the room where you've got the majority of people in the room are students. They're newer to Excel.
Yeah.
I believe they have to get an active sale ticket as part of the MECC situation. I think it's like heavily discounted, but the point is that they're in the room for the active sale conference. And then on the other side, you have a bunch of professionals, I don't know, a third maybe. They're paying proper money for the conference, all their employers are, but the point is that's how the money comes in to fund it. And generally they are a lot more advanced with their Excel and what that all looks like. And so then you have some sessions which was kind of either pitched at the students or it was kind of pitched in between. And so some of it I looked at and that's actually awesome content, but I already knew it. And then other bits and pieces was like, that's, to be blunt, wasn't great content and I already knew it. And I don't feel like fucking shade out here. Unless I'm I don't know, paid to do so, Jack. We can talk about it. But but yeah, some of the sessions I don't think were appropriate.
One conversation I had was because we've got such a wide audience, it would be good to actually, I mean, ideally split up the conference. But the best way to do it would maybe be to have the conference ordered from kind of easiest to hardest topic, so that you come in and all the students are there for the earlier topics and the more seasoned professionals are there for the later topics. And it's gradually changes over as to who attends which topic. But that would they're trying to keep the kind of number of people in the room at any time at a peak.
Yeah.
Really.
You'd need to reprice it for that then. Like it's a lot of money for the number of sessions it is. We're talking about the Excel Summit and how that's been set up, a bit more technical, a bit more, for that Excel professional rather than the student wanting to become one. And if you compare the pricing between that and the active sale, I mean, active sale is like double, kind of at least.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The summit's like pretty reasonably priced, to be honest, in comparison. So if you're forking out like $1,000 for the active sale and suddenly 5 or 6 sessions become relevant for you, that's a lot of money.
And then layer on top of that the fact that everyone from the students to the professionals are competing.
Yeah, that's a huge element. The fact that for a number of people, you're not attending all of the sessions and you kind of go in knowing that. And so I think they need to kind of restructure when they're presenting and who they're presenting to and kind of tailor it to kind of the audience that might be at those sessions. So like for me, as soon as I found out I was in the quarters, I didn't attend any more sessions that day. I just went back and just revisited my files. And I know a lot of the people competing on the final day, they're sleeping in, they're getting a bit more rest, they're kind of trying to make sure they're in the best condition possible. And so they're not going to get the most out of that day 3 at the conference because they're preparing. And I think that's the way it should be.
Like a lot of money to know you're going to be missing 50%
exactly.
of it and do well.
And especially if all of the sessions you're wanting to attend are on that third day, that could really be a decider for you as to whether you buy the active sale conference ticket. Yeah.
All of those things.
One good thing that they could actually take from Global Excel Summit is they could possibly bring that price down by having the conference available online as well.
Yeah.
That's one of the great things.
Sell the online tickets.
Yeah.
But you can still access the sessions afterwards.
That would be very
That's
valuable
wild.
for if you did have sessions that you weren't able to attend, not because you didn't think it was valuable content, but because you wanted to be able to sort
Prep for the championship.
Or even the ones, I mean, I know you've had it, Jack, with Global Excel Summit, where you're like, I know I saw, I know I saw a
It
great
was
example,
Melissa. I went back and saw a Melissa one for info.
but I need to go back and look at it because I can't remember it, and it's 6 months later, but I know it's relevant to what I'm doing now. And to be able to do that, I think is really valuable. Just you're spending $1,000 on a ticket.
A lot of money.
To be able to go back is really useful.
But it's also like, to your point, Nick, like when I looked at the agenda, there was a subset of the talks that I thought, okay, I want to see that. I'd be interested, either because, it's a topic that I don't know as much about and I'd like to learn, or just this is a person I think will make an interesting presentation. But even of those, I didn't make all of them because, whatever, right? Like I went out for lunch with people to catch up and then didn't make it back on time for the first session after. And I was like, well, I'm mostly here to catch up with people, so it is what it is. But like I ended up
There's so
missing
little time
at least a
anyway.
couple of sessions that I wanted to go for. So
All right, well, let's leap into category number 4, the competition. What was your experience and best bits? So we'll end on Dim for this one. My experience of the competition was it was great fun to watch, and my probably my peak moment was actually the great win. Let me just. But it was also seeing like Eric was next to me. We just seen Dim pull out some OA robot to finish off, and give credit to Eric, and just seeing how happy Eric was as well at that moment. So it's like 2 of my favorite people are like exuberantly happy at the moment, and I'm just like so stoked for both of you. It's just awesome. So that moment was really, really good. But let's go on Ella next. What was your experience of the competition? How was that last chance qualification announcement? My God.
It was amazing. I didn't expect to get through, and I say that not trying to be like super modest, but the competition is so high, and the quality of the competitors is outrageous. It's so much more advanced compared to last year, and so to know that you're up against all these really high caliber people who didn't make it into day 2 or quarter finals, which they're now calling it, straight away, it's that there are only, I think there were 15 guaranteed spots, possibly more, we knew, but there were definitely at least 20-30 competitors that had an absolute outrageous chance of getting through. So yeah, I knew I was really happy with my performance. I made like one stupid mistake, but other than that, I was really happy, and I knew that even if I didn't get through, I would be proud of my performance. But yeah, getting that, seeing my name on the screen and seeing my score, I was stoked. Yeah. Sorry, I feel like I just
that's copyright, actually.
That's all right. I won't sue her. It's not going to email for me.
But yeah, no, it was really good. I was really, I guess the experience at the arena itself, as well as just being a competitor, and you would have had this as well, Elliott. It just feels, it's amazing being like a viewer to watch it, to experience, but actually feeling like you're part of the action is like, it is surreal. And even like our little like pod that we had, I was sitting next to Harry Watson, and he was just like this calming presence beside me, and I was like, in good hands here. And it just felt really nice to look around and be surrounded by people who weren't just, acquaintances or, fellow competitors, fellow peers in kind of the same kind of profession, but genuinely friends. And it just felt like you would be happy at the end of the day, whoever got through. And you felt so much, compassion for the people who had practiced so hard throughout the year and had moments of, issues or technical issues or something went wrong and they didn't make it through because you knew how much they had worked to get there. And yeah, I think it's not like any other sport, I think, or not many other sports where you have this vested interest in your competitors doing well.
Highlight for me too was her getting in, to be honest, in terms of just like individual tiny moment of when I, saw that, found out that she was going to make the quarterfinals. I was like, yeah, here you go, girl. That was awesome. That was really cool. And then, quarterfinals were fun because last year I competed in them. Different experience for me, like being able to watch and being able to sit down and watch what's going on stage, cheer, like get excited, watch them in the second case of the quarters, start his journey of 3 in a row of 12:50 walkouts. With number one as you put Harry's picture together. I mean, yeah. It's not gonna get old, by the way. You can keep doing it. Little moment on Ella, which obviously that was so cool. Then when Dim did it, that was just an awesome elongated moment where it was funny to watch because of the way in which it happened. Like you went down the bonus route first, you got the bonuses. What that meant is that the bonuses took longer to get, but obviously there was no guarantee they'll be around at the end of it. And it meant that your score, if you kind of track it over time, you were kind of down near the bottom for
I was low.
risk. Not at risk, but you weren't up near the top, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes into it. Andrew actually took a very similar route, and he really did have a couple of moments where I guess if the elimination was a minute earlier or something, he definitely did spend some time on the cutoff as 8 out of 8 or 7 out of 7 or something like that. But yeah, then to kind of see it happen, it was a little bit like you're watching the victory unfold, knowing the victory is nearly inevitable, and so it wasn't an amazing moment at the end where you got some points to win it, and it was like wow, amazing. But it was like it was a 10-minute probably period of watching this amazing thing unfold, being able to recognize and know what was happening.
Yeah,
it's like
this is happening.
This is in we're watching this in progress. It's like you're running a race or something. You're on the last lap. Your competitors, it's pretty clear now. Your competitors behind you. You still got to run this last lap, but it's now it's almost a victory lap. And so that last, I'd even say from about 10 minutes from the end, or even 10 minutes before you finish onwards, that it kind of felt like that amongst us in the crowd. We watched it then, obviously, come true, if you will, and then the mic drop moment of sorts of you actually being able to finish the case, stand up, trying to like run around before they tell you to sit down again.
Yep.
That was
Like,
so
no,
good.
don't let him leave the stage.
So good. It was so good. So that was us watching it. What was the experience like, Tim?
So, I mean, as you guys all know, I have a history of like peaking too soon. I do very well in the preseason. I often do well in the early rounds, and then at some point the wheels come off. And so it was like very satisfying to, get to walk off early in the quarterfinals and, kind of make a comeback having done like okay, but not what I wanted, not what I thought I should have done for the case that it was in the first quarterfinal. But then I was like, oh, I've done it again. I've peaked too soon. And then it happened again in the semifinal, and I remember telling people like there's literally no way it's going to happen again in the final because like because the finals are always insane and crazy hard.
Super
And
hard.
by the way, whatever about form or skill or anything, like I would not have been finishing early and walking off if it was Eve or Warcraft or something like that. But it was a more approachable case this time, so that was okay. Yeah, it was great. Like I had, like, they gave us the sheet up in the prep room beforehand, and last year it was like, here's your instruction manual, read this
Yeah.
for half an hour. You still won't
Here's
be even close to being in your working memory, but do your best. And this year it was like, here's the page. Like, okay, there's like a paragraph and a half of text. I've read that now. There's some pictures. I've looked at the pictures. Okay, I get it. And I think I can do it. I said, I think it was Kobe. I said, it was like, I don't want to jinx it, but I think I can do this. I guess that kind of gave me the confidence to go the route of, like, I'm gonna do all the bonuses first, just in case anything gets locked out. Even when
There were a few
some of
people
them
going,
were.
"Oh, Dim's sitting quite low," but it was kind of clear when you actually looked at the board that you'd gone for a bonus first approach, and that is actually what really helped, because there were other people that just couldn't reach the same score as you by not following the same approach.
Well, it helped that there had been a chilling reminder the day before, no, earlier the same day, because the MECC, the collegiate version team final, had kind of like the inevitability Nick described, like, had basically been decided in the first less than 1 minute, because like Arizona got locked out of 3 bonuses in the first minute, and then they hit their max possible score with plenty of time to spare, were in number 1 at that stage, but then it was like, okay, well, you can go take your seats and watch as Inske, who had secured more bonuses early on and had a higher ceiling, just made their way on up. So yeah, that was definitely on my mind. It's like, okay, if I think I can do this, then the only thing that can really blow it up is getting locked out of bonuses. So let's start there.
And you on this. The last topic, and we are actually going, I don't think we're going to have much time to talk about our actual topic of the day, the technical topic. But before we get into that, the after party. You've got 5 minutes on the after party. So let's all tell Elliott what he missed out on.
Legendary.
I heard unrepeatable. That's what I heard.
Unrepeatable.
There's a lot of stuff that was unrepeatable.
Well, it's repeatable, but the issue is that the same people want to sign up again, so they might not be ready for you again, mate. They might have missed the boat. You can bring a tent and camp maybe on the little grass patch.
I don't know. I hear we're looking into, like, full on desert compounds for next year, because I'm pretty sure everybody who went last year wants to go again, and like 50 other people are like, wait, that looked amazing, I want to go too.
It was brilliant. It was such an experience. Shout out to Ben, who organised the crap out of it. He just
I need a Ben.
we can have a Ben version for
definitely.
sure. It was an incredible 3 days. It just with an amazing bunch of people as well. There could have been other people there that would have added to it as well, buddy. But the people that were there were fantastic.
Yeah, Josie could have come.
I like how Elliott's just out of this, just like, you're not welcome. We just bring Josie without you.
I get that a lot, Jack, to be honest.
It was great. I mean, what can you say about Burning Clippy?
Not much, because most of it's secret now.
Yep.
Yeah, what happens in Utah stays.
Well, I think the knowledge of what was going on, we had to shut off when people started drinking, which meant there was only about a 3-hour window each day.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I started one day with a breakfast drink. I think it was the day when everyone went out walking. I'm sure Amber had some cocktails on in the morning, so I thought I'd just meet them
With
and
Apple.
have a drink with them in the morning.
We went and had a walk.
Yeah,
It could have been cocktail.
exercise is obviously the wrong choice.
I did get a
And
photo. from,
those of us that stayed in got treated to Giles's talk.
Yeah.
I saw Giles did send me a photo of him with, I think it was Harry Watson and was it Harry Watson, Michael Jarman, and Jakob? I
There's
think.
Jarman and
They-
Dim and Eric. It was a good trip, and next year I'm going to come up with new weapons because
Oh,
Yeah, I
I
think
didn't even
glow
think of
sticks.
that.
when I went to cook, the main problem in that house was there were no spoons, and I actually needed a spoon as a measure. So I remember kind of shouting out to the people that were in the house, "Where the hell are all the spoons? Someone bring the spoons back to the kitchen, please!" And someone had hidden them
Whereupon
in a
everybody
cupboard.
reaches up their sleeve and down their ankle and their back and over their ear everywhere.
What about paper clips? Because you can literally like attach them to your clothing.
Tiny.
Yeah. Do you need a lounge weapon? Like,
Yeah.
and
Like Jakob's ice cream spoon was brilliant.
well,
It was
you
so
can
menacing.
maybe we could say anything that is a version of a clip.
I don't like
So
the idea.
I feel like we might need to offer a little more context for our poor
Yeah,
lost listeners. We're like, what are you talking about with the spoon?
What was the Assassin's game, Jack?
What was this? So we were all, I say we were all, everyone else. I decided I couldn't cope with the stress. So I asked if I could help Jakob organize the game. And he was like, that means I can play. So he just gave me his Google Sheets, which allocates each person another person in a loop. So, and we've got their emails from Burning Clippy spreadsheet. So we put those in there. And once we'd allocated everyone, or once I'd allocated and Jakob had left, I sent out emails on the night of the finals, after the final. Well, actually before the finals. But it became live after the finals. And everyone could kill the person they were assigned in their email with a spoon or a straw.
Or
Which meant they ended up stealing all the spoons from the house and all the straws from the bar that first night. And when, let's say Nick was to kill Ella, and he did, and Ella was to kill Dim, then Nick has to kill Dim.
Oh, hang on. I mean, surely even in a game like this, someone wouldn't kill their own spouse, right?
Oh, no one would ever do that. So that
Sorry,
happened.
Jeremy.
So if I kill Dim, do I inherit Dim's target?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the circle
And then the
keeps
circle
shrinking.
gradually gets smaller and smaller until you have hopefully 2 people left. We had about 5 at the end, and there was a general consensus that 2 of the last 5 had not killed anyone. 2 of the last 5 had killed 1 person each, and then Anders had killed like 5 people or something. So there was a general consensus that Anders was the winner, and he went home with a giant burning clippy.
There's a general consensus that you don't mess with Anders.
That's not
Yes. So in the end, we ended up with the final group, and then we allocated the winner to Anders based on who had won, and I did a PowerPoint of who had died, and
Which was
that
great.
was.
And I would
Yes.
just like to say,
Producer
Well,
Johnny
say-
says, please ask someone else to do a game summary. So since Elliott was the queen of the game, I'm going to ask her to do a quick version of the same game summary I tried to explain.
oh no. My main question or comment as to this particular game was where in the rules it stated that glow sticks were an appropriate weapon.
Someone sounds a bit salty. I wouldn't know anything about being salty about someone coming into my private bedroom domicile and killing me within it, which was a gross violation of my privacy. Jeremy Freelove. Anyway,
Do you know what though? Like, so what happened was the girls had like this alliance, but one thing I did not, require was, the outward commitment from every single member of the group. So we did end up having one person who did not commit to the allegiance, but it was implied. And so I feel like that was our downfall. So next year I'm going to come back bigger
With
and
contracts.
stronger. There'll be contracts, there'll be signing. There'll be...
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good way to build trust among a team is to have
I mean,
everybody
Ella
sign
very
contracts.
much won the strategist of the game award. In my mind, because I saw the strategy going on behind the scenes in the girls'
Not
WhatsApp.
killing anybody. and not actually being involved in any kind of
I
helping.
mean, you did
to-
die pretty early.
So props to me. And also I got killed by glow stick. So one might
Invalid.
suggest that I
Okay,
was still alive.
so I was making up rules as I went along, and as people came to me with questions, I was ruling on them. And someone did come to me beforehand, saying, "Can I use a glow stick?" And I went, "Yeah, that seems like a reasonable weapon." I announced to the people that were in the area at the time, "Glow sticks are now weapons," and then we carried on.
In fairness, I did
Wouldn't
not
want it
look
before.
down at the weapon as it was killing me. So it was only when you did the PowerPoint summary that I found out.
Then you realized it was a glow stick. It wasn't
No.
glowing anymore. It was a straw. All right. We are way over on our time because
Oh.
Burning Clippy is amazing. And I think if anyone wants to actually know the rules of the game from our descriptions, you can actually go Google Assassins for any. So we had a brief...
Back for next time. Announce the weapons like a month in advance. People can bring them from their home country and bring their own
Yeah.
version. So I'll have
I'm
my-
excluding spoons. I have had suggestions of, you're not the first person to say paperclip or clippy. I have suggestions of straws. Again, is fine. But lightsabers was one of them, and glow sticks was another official one, so that people would just steal all the glow sticks in the arena on the day.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna say with lightsabers because I feel like you kind of see that coming.
I don't know.
Yeah, zoom. Everywhere you go, if you hear a zoom sound, you're like, run.
We actually have 2 lightsabers as well, so
We'll bring them with us.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, time.
Okay, yeah. So I am. I know we've technically got played like a few more minutes in the podcast itself. However, we still have a whole technical topic for the day. To fit in the rest of the topic, we're going to just do 5 minutes on our slightly shorter topic today. Nick and Ella are wondering if we're all just becoming programmers in order to stay competitive in Excel. So,
Yes.
what is the driver behind this topic? Nick was wondering. Let's not lie.
Basically, last year, Lisa's heart got beaten, and then those 3 years prior by Mr. Andrew Nye also got beaten. And they take a more, Michael, take a more traditional approach of, and what most competitors, I guess, take as an approach when it comes to stepping out data table, to cycle through the inputs, so the 20-odd inputs, the 20-odd questions of a level and get your answers. Dim appears over the last year to have worked towards single cell solutions as being his primary approach, and we saw it come to fruition at the end of last month. No, it was the beginning of this one, when he had 3 walkouts in a row on 3 cases, and won in pretty convincing fashion. It wasn't a small victory, Dim. It was comprehensive and it was brilliant. And you did it on the back of single cell formulas for the most part making their way. So, is that new standards? That was required in order to compete at the top. And if we don't follow suit, which, spoiler alert for me, is not like any coding background, I've got some issues. Do we need to try and follow those sorts that pathway in order to be competitive at the top now? Or is there still a place for those that like to step out their formulas, instead?
And just to add a slight side question to that, Dim, how much of it is the building in one cell? How much of that is aided by OA Robot? And the great tools like Landify, is knowledge of OA Robot or some other tool to assist you necessary to be able to do the single cell stuff at the level at which you do, and still be nigh and Jarman beating between the 2 of us?
Basically,
I mean,
you have to change everything in order to be competitive. Well, not change everything with OA Robot, but the single cell approach at least.
So, okay, a couple of parts to that. High level answers. Number 1, like, can Andrew still beat me? Yeah, and often does. And I mean, I look at Hayden's videos a lot. Like, his obviously it's after the fact and he kind of edits and stuff, but like he pretty consistently puts out a video after the Road to Las Vegas rounds where he like solves the entire case in usually about 15 minutes, sometimes less. And like he's got a bunch of lambdas, but he's definitely a data table guy. I think that approach is still absolutely competitive. Like I think there are some cases where they lend themselves much more naturally to single cell. Like it's just, I don't know, whatever. If it's kind of, level 6 is do this thing once, and then level 7 is do the same thing 5 times, then, if you've written level 6 as a lambda, then level 7 becomes pretty easy after that. And there are other things that lend themselves much better to build your full model, because if you've got, crisscrossing dependencies, like if you can kind of lay out each, if each calculation is basically its own independent sort of vector and it only depends on the columns that came before it, then that works quite nicely in single cell. But if it's, I don't know, like if the direction you go in this turn depends on what you found on the last turn, depends on this, depends on that, and there's like the more interdependencies there are, the harder it is to single cell it. It's always possible eventually, but it's hard. So yeah, I definitely don't think single cell is the only way. I don't think robot is the only way to single cell, because I found myself on your case, actually, on Bushland Adventures, whatever it was, like level 5, where it suddenly went from kind of, a couple of odd calcs here and there to, many different things depending on going up and going down and so on. I think I wrote like I don't know, a 12 or 15 line let for that. And I just wrote it all in one cell, which is a stupid way to do it, because, I could have built it out and then, used robot to smash it all back into one let, but been able to see it all as I went along. But it worked. So yes, it is possible to do it without robot, but it's a lot easier and probably a lot less error prone to do it with. Yeah, my guess is you're going to see, like, I feel like the kind of robot market share, so to speak, of the kind of finalists and top competitors is already pretty high, and I think it's only going up as time goes by. Especially the kind of the lambda generation and saving and editing, like it's, I feel like you could spend half an hour learning the basics of it and get a boost just from that, in a way that like some of the much deeper stuff around like how to make your own commands really well, like there you kind of have to ask yourself, am I ready to make an investment? And there's a return for it, but it's work. But I feel like learning to generate and save lambdas with robot is an almost immediate payback. So yeah, I think that one is only going to be more so. But I don't think single cell is the sort of sure win that you made it sound a little bit like there.
And parallel to the coding side, talking about the idea of coding within Excel, is obviously Python as like another stream. And we saw Jasper make it through to the semis this year, who uses a Python only approach. He smashed out of the park from memory in the quarterfinals. He was one of the top ranked going into the semis, and then bowed out before the finals. But yeah, you reckon we'll see more people working with Python coming through, and Jasper just getting better and better with that tool moving into next year? Because on paper, it looks like a scary proposition for those that know what they're doing with it.
Yeah, I could imagine, like, if Jasper or someone like built something like the equivalent of the the Lambda libraries that a lot of people have for Python.
Yeah.
Just kind of cooled it a little bit. I've been playing Advent of Code this month because it's fun. But I was just, going down a rabbit hole of reading about that, and went to like reading this, a blog post by this guy who, I don't know, was kind of top 10 in it a couple of times a few years ago, talking about, what does it take to get on the Advent of Code leaderboard. And I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, this looks a lot like my Lambda library. And there's I'm sure there's things you would add to it that are kind of specific to esports about parsing addresses or arrows or other bits and bobs. So two thoughts on that. The one thing that kind of struck me, and it's a pity for Jasper because like you said, he kicked butt in the quarterfinals. But if you look at his kind of score path in the quarterfinal where he was up on stage, he was relatively low down for a good while. My read on it was that there's like a good amount of investment setting everything up, and then answering individual questions becomes more straightforward. And obviously that is a high risk thing when you're in elimination
that.
land.
Yeah, he had a few moments where he very nearly got knocked out and then suddenly leaped ahead when he was playing in the arena.
Yeah. The quarterfinals as well. I was there watching. He was middling for a long time. I even want to say like in the 50s out of 64, halfway through, and then he ended up like well entrenched in the top 10. Might have even been top 5. So it's
I
you
think
can
he was
play
one or two
catch up.
in the end. The other interesting thing is I don't know if any of you guys watched Harry Gross when he was preparing for our match. He and I talked about it a bunch. Like, he basically decided not to do any kind of regular practice because he sort of said, well, you're sufficiently far ahead of me on like solving cases in the regular way that, me catching up a little bit by practicing isn't going to make much difference. I have to like strike off in a different direction. And so he like spent a few hours setting up a basis on which he could like rapidly turn esports problems into like C# classes and then code a solution in C#. And I mean, it was a sort of high risk play and it didn't work out, but could he refine that and, come back swinging next year? Very possibly. Or, if it's not him, could someone, I don't know if I should say who, because I don't know if he wants to keep his secret, but someone mentioned to me that he had been looking into like writing some supporting functions in some flavor of C or C++ or C# or something instead of writing them as lambdas to make them work faster. And I was like, I worry that being, among the best in the world at XL esports might be akin to being, the market share leader in film cameras sometime in the early 90s. Because I feel like if the direction we're going in is that, XL competitions and general coding competitions end up merging into not being distinct categories anymore, I think that's not good news for us compared to the digital camera folks over there. There are some very, very, very good competitive programmers out there. So
I mean, he's just looking at the new in general from just an Excel perspective. Jackson and Har from the UK, both of them found out about this competition in February.
Yeah, that's scary.
And both, I mean, Har was number 5 in the world, wasn't he? Our UK champion.
Yeah, and Jackson came 7th.
Esports because of our Global Excel Summit announcement of the UK chapter in February this year.
Can you stop announcing stuff, please?
But, I mean, Sean is not that far behind. Like, he was around last year, but I think last year was his first year competing. And he was third, almost like Andrew only overtook him in like the last 30 seconds or something. Like, he was very close. Yeah, like Jean and Ha were the two I thought most likely to, to kind of break things up before the final, which bore out pretty darn well.
I was watching the quarterfinals alongside Chris Clark. That was also straight through to the semis. And as we were watching some of the people doing what they're doing on stage, we had a moment chatting to each other, and it basically concluded like, this year could be our window. Like if you ever want to achieve something and just make it happen, like it could be this year or broke. And actually, we discussed it a bit further, and it's like, actually, it could have been last year or broke. That's why both got kicked out of the
Do
semis.
you think it's possible to be competitive without lambdas?
Through the cycle, no, I don't think so. I think
Not in the long
I think
haul.
it's got to the stage now where there's enough patterns with like parsing addresses, for example, is just
Yeah.
like you could write a lambda on the fly for it, or you can rely on indirect and stuff. But like indirect is slow, and writing something on the fly to kind of convert ABCD into a column number is tedious.
Yeah.
I think like
So
I think you could be
by
quite
far,
competitive with no lambdas, but I think you would be doing materially worse than you could be doing with lambdas.
yeah,
I don't think you could win without lambdas.
at all. Yeah, that's fair. I
I know-
think
I
by far
really-
the biggest debate on Dim's over 100,000 views video. What are we on now? Anyone?
I don't know. Last time I looked was this morning, and it was like 105. Hang on, let's take a look.
The
It's at
biggest debate on
108
this
now.
was nice was whether or not allowing people to have pre-built functions lambdas was fair in the sport. But obviously this is a bunch of people who don't know the sport and are kind of arguing about it from most often a chess perspective.
Yeah,
was
there
what
were a
was
lot
happening
of
in the center.
attempts to analogize this to chess as like, is this like being able to, consult Stockfish every time you make a move? Is it like being able to bring along a piece that nobody else has that moves in a different way? I'm like, none of these analogies are great.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, the two kind of big misconceptions in the comments were, one, if you can have prepared functions, then it should all be easy. Which, as Harry Gross said, yes, I will just pre-solve all possible problems, and then it will be no problem. And number two was the idea of, is VBA allowed? Because then it would be really easy. I'm like, I don't like. Lots of people use VBA for their setup, but I don't think anybody solves the
But
case
I
in
don't think
VBA.
anyone's
And we have
done
some
it on the
people who are
fly
really
very
good at
much.
VBA.
Yeah.
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 Well, I know we've talked before on I think on the podcast about should there be in the future a non-lambda version of it. But then I guess it does start becoming in that chess world of, well, you've just studied a bunch of openings. You've now memorized how to
Is it
how
just
to write
you can write
these
the
lambdas. How well can you memorize these
functions
lambdas
that-
and write them
yeah.
on the fly?
which would be more boring to watch, I would say.
That
Yeah.
part would be. What it would give, if we're thinking about viewers though, which just stumble across it and are going, "Oh, what's going on?" is it will give them the ability to know that the competitors are starting from the same blank sheet that they would be at home if they had it. So that's the extra bit where, if we don't want everyone just typing out mid-sequence to do a split without delimiters. But on the flip side, someone might look at equals split.txt or whatever your version of it's called, and at home they're like, "Oh, awesome," and they're like, "Wait, what is this function? Because it doesn't show up." Because it's a custom function.
Maybe it would make it
that they don't
easier
know
to
about.
decipher from an external point of view.
So I can see both sides of it. I've wondered about whether it makes sense, or it might make sense in the future more, to have no lambdas, no pre-built lambdas when you get into it. If the maze lambdas in particular get to a point where fun mazes can't exist anymore because they're all too easily nailed and smashed. And you mentioned shout out Hayden Wiseman again, who's just doing some incredible work there. Bo as well has some incredible stuff when it comes to what they're putting together on the maze land and stuff. So it becomes trickier with, I'm someone that likes to create a few cases if I can, and I love maps as well, and then trying to think in my head about what can I put together that I know the stuff out there already isn't just going to smash. It's like, how can I make it different? And it's becoming increasingly difficult to think of how to do that, beat what's already available.
Yeah, I mean, on the quarterfinals case, the Lucky Tour with the maze, like Jean went straight to level 7 on that because he had a pipe maze lambda. It was just like, okay, I need to tweak it slightly for this different set of pipes, but now, boom, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think mazes are definitely the biggest victim of that. I will say I don't worry as much about the kind of casual viewer stumbling on it, because I don't think I
It's
do
hard enough to
videos every
follow.
now and again with no lambdas, no robot when I'm doing, usually either if I'm doing like a local chapter case or if I'm doing an MECC case where it's
Yeah.
like, the intended viewer here is a student. But every now and again I'm like, yeah, this was meant to be the approachable version, but I also used like all kinds of wacky, lambda helpers and like native functions, but like biros and maps and whatever. I didn't use anything, secret or prepared, but this is still going to be incomprehensible to lots of people. The thing I worry about more is not so much the person watching at home, but the person who wants to play themselves, where it's like, okay, first you have to be good at Excel. You probably are already if you're interested in this, but then you also, in addition to being good generally with Excel, you have to learn a bunch of stuff that is really only applicable in esports land of like, how do you fill in a map based on its colors, or how do you efficiently parse cell addresses or things like those don't come up in anybody's job. And then on top of that, it's like, well, if you want to be competitive, you're also going to need to know at least these 20 standard utility functions, and you might want to have your own maze lambda that you've researched and refined and optimized for time. It's like, oh, sounds a lot like very, very high barriers to entry.
I'm going to take us into today's hot take. It's not much of a difference from what I've just been sent by producer Johnny.
Excel hot take. What will they say? Is this array in disarray? Excel hot takes.
Today's hot take: should a lot of this coding stuff be banned because it's not Excel?
I think then you can't have anything where you're doing things by row or anything where you're relating cells. Basically, we should be doing it all by hand, I think.
Yeah, like off the computer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what we should be doing. That's the future.
Mobile. I'm a champion. Hashtag champion. Mobile. Do that.
I will say before the final, like I think people were seriously considering the before the semis, sorry, after Jasper had done so well in the quarters, I think people were seriously discussing the possibility that like by this time next year it would be 8 out of 12 people on the final stage would only be using Python or whatever. And I think it kind of died down somewhat after he got knocked out. I do think that the natural reaction that people would have if it suddenly started looking like the much more successful end of the competition is all using Python or C# or whatever, I do think people would be like, well, we should kick them out. I don't know if it's the right answer because I feel like that's I don't know, like Diego always kind of hammered us all for like, being afraid to compete against AI because that's what you have to do in the real world, which I didn't totally agree with on AI, but I do think there's at least more of a discussion to be had. Like if someone can solve Excel problems more efficiently using Python and Excel or using C# code or whatever, then should we be saying, well, you can only actually do this in this little bit of Excel and that's what we're competing in? I don't know. Not sure.
Yeah, tricky one. When people think of Excel, what do they think of though? Right? It's a application used by like, I don't even know what the figures are, but a billion people on a regular basis or something like that. People are using it, and the way in which they think that they're working with the Excel within the grid, so to speak, is just core to what people think of when they think of Excel. So like Python Excel's been around for 40 years. Python in Excel as sure as anything has not been, and like the ability to use these other codes and stuff at the same time. And so if that became the most efficient way to solve these cases, and therefore the best coding performers in Python or any other script were the ones winning these things because they were doing it in that manner, would people be able to connect that to winning the Excel World Championship when that's not really thought of when you go Excel? They're also, I mean, you're doing admin and code at the moment, right? There are coding competitions in their own right where, you use coding languages to achieve things. I feel like we start deviating from what Excel's about. At its core.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but as you say, Python is in Excel. And on top of that,
Yep.
your average Excel user is not thinking about numbers, is not thinking about biros, is not thinking about maps. We're way beyond what people think of Excel. People don't think of Excel for putting jigsaw puzzles together or
Realistically, a lot of people think of Excel as being like something that they can do equal sum if they're
Yeah.
intelligent.
I use some.
That's wrong word. And referencing like, hopefully not like doing, referencing a single cell at a time and they're dragging and stuff. But a lot of people, their understanding of Excel is very basic. And I think we've probably got to make sure that we're not trying to appeal to everyone just to suit everyone.
And if you're planning a New Zealand trip in Excel, you're planning where you are and where you're staying and when. You're not looking at a map of New Zealand and working out the most efficient route based on the map.
Are you not?
But the average Excel.
That's just given me a great case idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I absolutely, I agree with the sentiment, but I do think there is an equal pi function now. Like, yeah, it's new, but Lambda's also new.
Yeah.
And just because we're not the most comfortable people with Python,
It's easy for us to be like.
doesn't mean it's not part of
okay.
Excel. I mean, different arguments.
I'm coming around to what you're saying, to be honest, Elliott. And there's something a bit fun as well around the idea that you do end up with 12 people on a stage, and half of them are going about it this way, half of them going about it this way. Within those half each way, they actually have their own unique ways of doing things. The people that are kind of working within the grid, you've got people doing single cell, like Jean is a single cell addict. If you have a look at how he puts things together, which is just like what's going on, particularly when it's in German, to be honest. I don't know. I presume Andrew is come, keeps approaching things in the future the way he currently does, which is just stepping things out just in a highly, incredibly efficient manner, and like his thought processing is insane. And then you have Dim going and depends on what question is about and what he's doing, and then you have the different approaches around. Do you go for bonuses? Like, there's just so many different variations and ways in which different people can be up there trying to achieve the same thing, solve things, get points, which actually it probably makes it a bit of fun. If you got to a situation where the 12 people on stage were all doing Python because that was the best way of doing it, you can use Python in Excel, as you say, equals py, and off you go. So technically it's all good. Whether that makes for the best spectacle, I mean, look, we're a long way from that happening. Like, maybe we delay that conversation until it's relevant and real, because it might not be.
I don't really foresee a scenario where everyone is using the exact same method to get to that level. I think there will always be a variety of people using different things. And the thing we need to be open to is the fact that there are probably ways of using Excel that haven't even been created yet, or that are in progress, that in 5 years' time, everyone will be like, oh yeah, of course, everyone's using XYZ.
Everyone using the dim function, which does this.
Well, I mean, would we even be having this argument if someone was able to use VBA or Power Query to the level that Jasper's using Python? Because VBA has been a central part of Excel for a very, very long time. Power Query since, what was it, 2018, 2019 when it got smart?
How good would it be if you did have a VBA expert turn up? You did have someone that was just had Power Query down to a core. You probably need to have a good data heavy case for that to make sense. And then you've got someone that's like proficient in Python, and then you have someone that's doing single cell, and then you have someone that's stepping it out, and you had all of them on stage at once, and you're flipping between the two, and you just have incredibly different approaches going on. I think it'd make a lot of fun.
Can you imagine the commentators though?
You'd need subject matter experts in the commentary box. All right, I think we've definitely overstayed our welcome today for long enough. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to give you one more play of the Boberg tune, Stoked for the Bobergs, just to leave you on a happy note.
Stoked for the semi, stoked for the wife. Brought the Kiwi passion to my spreadsheeting life. Wrote every case as at home as you see. Now stoke the fires of victory.
My fingers are flying from the last chance round. Just plotting your downfall while you're still spellbound. In the arena with a spoon in the game. Ella Boberg's etching out her name.
But when a Kiwi case got in her eye,
It's tough, she's
we'll play it next year in Vegas, ahead of the semi-final when we're going to sit next to each other. Hear it here first.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm actually really manifesting this private jet for you guys as well.
No,
I'm
fun.
doing that.
God, we can sneak it. We can come 15th and 16th and 17th. We can still do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
don't
I'm gonna
forget
close this
there
out.
have been 2 siders in the semifinals, so you know that's the
That
bar.
is true. We had both brothers a couple of years ago. Right, I'm going to close this out now, and then I'm going to play OA Robot 2025 as our closing song. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Nick and Ella, for being on with us. So what's going on in your life? Where can people find us? I'm Jack Kennedy. You can find me at XLtismJack on TikTok, XLtismJack YouTube on YouTube, and just on LinkedIn. Elliott, where can people find you?
At ePats on YouTube, where I very reliably post videos all the time.
Nick,
Yeah, where can I find you?
Hamilton, New Zealand. If anyone wants to come by for a wander, catch up like Elliott and Josie at the moment. KitKat is your cafe. Come join us and say hello. We aren't on all the socials in the world. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. That's probably about it. Quite a big advisor if you ever want any financial modelling work, but also we're pretty busy and it's about to come, so no time soon.
No, we're here.
We're just here. Okay, Dim?
I'm on my abruptly surprisingly popular YouTube channel, which is at Dim Early. But I'm sure it'll die back down pretty quickly.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone very much for listening. There are full video versions of the podcast on our YouTube at the XL Files. And you can send us in your hot takes to be used in the future. So let's take it out this year with the OA Robot 2025 theme tune.
Rows and columns in a cyber day.